Federal Premium 168 grain Berger Hybrid Hunter. Let's talk about that today. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Juicy, beautiful deliciousness. 168 grain Berger Classic Hunter in the Federal Premium 280 Ackley Improved. All right, welcome back to the shop. Thank you for joining me again today. We're going to talk about factory ammunition, Federal Premium Berger 168 grain Hybrid Hunter in 280 Ackley Improved. So this is some pretty good stuff you can get off the shelf for the 280 Ackley project we've been working on lately. I've been going through some of this ammo. Let's get into it. All right, while I do enjoy hand loading for most of my rifles, it's occasionally pretty nice just to be able to pull something off the shelf that shoots well in your rifle and go hunting with it for whatever game you may be intending to take. In this case, it's my 280 Ackley here in the Thompson Center Encore. I've been working with a lot the last couple weeks, putting this thing together, getting through ammo, getting through reloading, that kind of stuff. Simple break action, single shot. This is a really great rifle so far. I'm liking what I see on it. It's got a match grade machine stainless barrel and 1 1/8 twist, shooting the 280 Ackley Improved. Okay, so I've gone through about 4 different types of factory ammo for this rifle so far. And by far, the one that I'm getting the best results out of so far is this Federal Premium with the 168 grain Berger. They call it the Hybrid Hunter here on the box, but it's actually the Classic Hunter bullet from Berger, 168 grain 7mm bullet. It comes in with a G7 BC of .290 and a G1 BC of .566. Now the box posted velocities for this 168 grain are 2,830 feet per second, which I'll get to what I got here in just a second. So that's pretty spicy with a 168 grain bullet cruising 2,800 or a little bit more at the muzzle. You've got some pretty darn good ballistics out to some pretty long ranges. Let's see if I can get them up here. This is just the box posted velocity in ballistics. So it's a pretty nice and spicy medium to large game, big game cartridge is what they're calling it, for deer, elk, bear, that kind of thing. They even got an elk on the box. So this is elk hunting ammo, and that's why I picked it. Now I've gone through about 2 boxes of it so far, 2 and some change. So I've got 7 more rounds to go out of this second box of it. The rest of it I've been basically just doing ballistic tests out at long range and doping and stuff like that, and a little bit of group testing too, plus velocities for all of that. So I'm gonna get right into that data, what I got out of this, out of my 280 Ackley Improved, and it does have a 24-inch barrel. I've been shooting this ammo predominantly with a muzzle brake, so I haven't shot this without the muzzle brake yet. I had some issues at the very beginning with this rifle, just with a different type of ammo with brake versus no brake. So I trued up my brake, remounted it. I'm gonna be shooting this thing suppressed, so I gotta have my brake on there for that. So from there on out, I just went with the brake, and I'm gonna do some suppressor testing with the last few rounds I have just to see what the group sizes are right now. Oh, hey, look, actually I have 2 more rounds right here. I forgot that I stuck 2 of them on the gun already in this little pouch on the side. So I actually have 7, 8, 9 rounds left to test with for my suppressor and velocities with that, and retrue my zero, because this is what I'm going to zero this rifle on for now until I get a hand load worked out that I really like. So let's get into it. All right, box posted velocities. I will say out of all the rounds I've shot so far, which is 26, 27 rounds that I've taken velocity data on, I'm averaging about 2,810 feet per second, so I'm slightly slower than the box posted factory velocity, but not much, only about 20 feet per second slower. Standard deviations have been varying from 12 to 13 in my shot string, so that's not terrible. That's actually pretty decent for a factory ammo, nickel coated cases, and I'm assuming they're using Federal standard primers and all that good stuff. So with a 168 grain bullet in the 7mm, anything over 2,800 is money. Quick and dirty with the actual accuracy I've gotten out of this thing. I've gotten good results, but kind of mixed results, and I think I'm going to attribute a lot of that to shooter fatigue at the end of a long shot string. So the first couple groups I shot were both sub MOA, so I had a .807 MOA, .790 MOA, and then the last 2 groups I shot of that ammo out of this rifle that day, which I had some other things I was shooting that day as well, but I came back and shot 2 more groups. I'm going to attribute this mostly to my error versus ammo error because of just fatigue, end of the day, ready to go home, that kind of thing, just getting some shot strings out. So the last 2 groups I shot out of it, were the worst two groups I've shot out of it, at 1.229 MOA and 1.4 MOA. And that 1.4 MOA group was a 5-shot group. So what does that tell me? It doesn't tell me a whole lot right off the bat. I would have to probably put 2 or 3 more boxes through this thing before I could definitively call it X, Y, or Z gun, you know, or capabilities as far as MOA goes. I think it's probably comfortably about a 1 MOA gun. Comfortably. If I get out to the range, get fresh, get a good position down, and shoot some more groups with this thing, and I get closer to that 1.4 with 5-shot strings or even 3-shot strings, then I'll know it's probably about a 1.5 MOA ammo for my gun, or 1.25, which is not actually a deal killer for me when it comes to off-the-shelf, high BC, you know, 7mm ammo for hunting with in a Magnum rifle. Okay, so this is a Magnum cartridge, and I have noticed now that I do tend to shoot the Magnums not quite as well as I shoot my, you know, small stuff like my 6-ARCs and 6.5s and stuff like that, which is pretty typical for most people, I think. I don't know, some guys just like punishment. They'll take it all day. Myself though, I enjoy lighter shooting rifles more than anything. I don't disenjoy this. It's actually really fun to shoot. I like a big meaty bang and all that good stuff going down range. It's really fun to shoot, but towards the 20 to 30 round range, the fatigue starts to set in a little bit, even if you have a great position in the muzzle brake. Haven't done it with suppressor yet, so I'm gonna save the rest of the rounds I have for my suppressor, try those out and just see what I get. But I would say, guesstimation, based off of the velocity and load data I've gotten so far, this is comfortably a 1 MOA gun with a 1 MOA load, or a 1 MOA load in this gun. And I can live with that. That's good hunting load. I can hunt with that. That'll do for everything I need to. All right, so to look at the data on this though, ballistically, if I'm zeroed for 100 yards and pushing that 2,810 feet per second at a kind of an average for my area up here. Right now I'm doing it for today, but let's say an average, you know, altitude density and all those good things up at high altitude where I'm at, you can expect this thing to be fairly efficient on game, say capping it with that 1,500 foot-pounds of energy threshold, or around about 2,000 feet per second. From what I've read from the factory stuff, the Bergers need at least 1,800 feet per second to expand reliably, so let's keep it above that. Say 2,000 feet per second is our kind of threshold for speed. Comfortably, this is about a 675 yard cartridge out of this gun, meaning that I could actually technically, theoretically, take an elk at about 675, maybe 650. I don't know that I'd push it much past that, but it's comfortably within that range. Now, if you're looking at a deer or something like that, I'm just using applied ballistics here. Looking at a deer for, say, 1,000 foot-pounds threshold for energy needed, and, you know, maybe you don't need as much expansion, say 1,600 feet per second velocity at about 1,000. Like, you could probably put a deer down with it at 1,000. Well outside the envelope of what most people are going to hunt and shoot this thing for. So well outside of my preferred, you know, ethical hunting range. So it's not really a bother or a worry about that kind of thing. Just based on that, if you're looking for a good factory option for your 280 Ackley Improved, I would highly recommend trying out the Federal Premium Berger Hybrid Hunter with the 168 grain Berger Classic Hunter bullet in it. They call it the Hybrid Hunter here. I don't really know if that's just a marketing thing for Federal, but the bullet itself, I looked it up, it is the Classic Hunter bullet from Berger, which is a phenomenal bullet. The ballistic testing on them is, you know, amazing. I don't have any gel to shoot right now, or I'd be out there testing it out, but based on what I've seen and experienced with the way it flies, it's a great bullet. Berger just makes fantastic bullets. I think probably hand loading it for this rifle, I might be able to tweak it down to about that 3/4 to half minute group, just based off of what I've seen. I think with maybe some tweaks to the powder and the seating depths and that kind of thing, I could probably get it flying pretty good. I'm trying out the 175s and 180 classes first, and if I can't get what I want out of those, then I might step down to that 168. And the 168 Berger is actually top on my list for what I want to try next. All right, thank y'all for joining me again. That's all I got for today. Y'all remember to keep your knife sharp, keep your powder dry, keep your magazines loaded. Y'all be blessed.